Order. If we waited until I figured out the technology, it would be too long, so we'll hope that the people at the end of the table can accommodate me. First of all, gentlemen, who was out to see the properties before us tonight?
I didn't go there.
I went to the one on Ashland.
Okay.
And I had been previously to the one for the first agenda item.
All right.
Did not go to the process.
Okay, does anybody anticipate being unable to vote on any of the issues tonight?
No.
No. You can always change your mind later. And finally, did you speak with anyone regarding the variance requests before us tonight?
No.
No,
All right.
here comes no.
Okay, we shall note for the roll call that all members are present. Does anybody want to speak regarding the agenda for last meeting? Or for this meeting, excuse me. I guess we need to approve the agenda. Any current concerns, questions, then a motion would be in order.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, may I suggest before we vote the moving of the D1 to the end? Other than that, I'm okay with it. Everybody okay with that still that made the motions?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, it's been made, a motion's been made to approve the agenda before us tonight. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Agenda's approved. Now about the minutes from the last meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes from last meeting?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to approve the minutes from the April meeting. All in favor? Aye. 5-0. Finally, Mr. Jandrain. Come forward and make your case.
Okay, I made my case already, if you recall, January 15th meeting. So that's, should I sit down or?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so that's on record.
could you
And
please identify yourself?
my name is Christopher Drain, so I'm the member along with my wife, Mobetta LLC, which is the owner of the property.
And we'll note for the record that Alderperson Dorf is sitting at the table as well.
Yes. So, she represents my district, the district that I live in, and Nicholson, Alderman Nicholson, I tried to get in contact with him, but he was not able, I was not able to actually make contact or request his presence.
Okay. Now, does anyone wish to summarize what we talked about last time? And why we led to having this move forward a month?
Well, I guess at the last meeting, if you recall, I think maybe the board was pretty much ready to vote on this item. And Alderman Zimmer, Guy Zimmer, raised a point saying that maybe this could be looked at further and possibly this ordinance could be reviewed by the Common Council and possibly maybe there's some circumstances about this ordinance that may not be entirely fair all the time or may could be improved and so on. So I never had any communication about whether the Common Council met on this, talked about it, reviewed it. And so I have no further information as to whether that was done.
Okay, there was some follow-up on that. So this was actually an item from a couple of months ago. My
Well,
memory isn't.
It was
not the
January
best.
15th was the last meeting.
3 months ago, well, it's no wonder.
Yeah.
My memory fades out after a much shorter period than that. Paul, do you want to summarize the information that we did get regarding the issue that led to the delay?
Right, I think staff presented a small report last meeting, and it's true Alderman Zimmer did make that request. It went to the planning commission. There was some discussion at that time about possibly changing the ordinance. It was concluded by the planning commission to make a recommendation to the council with no change. There were very few options that were available. There was also comments provided by the Green Bay Fire and Green Bay Police Department that had concerns about parking in front of the front door, or the primary door. So they went through council, and that was approved with no change to the ordinance.
So we're in a position of having had the review that Alderman Zima at that time proposed, and basically the review was no results, no further changes to the ordinance as it stands.
Okay, and then, of course, also in my application, I proposed having like possibly putting a parking stop in there or whatever to prevent any vehicle from, being within a certain distance from the primary entrance door.
Right.
And so I proposed that. I think Alderman Zima may have suggested, well, you could, if you, would you be agreeable to putting some kind of like a planter or something maybe more decorative than just a parking stop? I guess I just wanted to state my case that I would still be agreeable to doing something like that.
Okay. Other than that, though, your plan that you're seeking variance regarding is essentially the same, with the caveat that you're willing to put in a parking stop, or decorative or not, to provide some space between the vehicle and the front door.
Right.
Okay. Okay, now I guess I'm the slow on it, but I remember all the issues now. Is there any questions that anybody has for the applicant? Alderman Dorf, do you? would you care?
Yeah, I just know that sometimes in cases like this, perhaps one can work with staff and come up with a compromise so that everything doesn't need to be torn out. So I think the cement, isn't it in there already?
Yes.
It's there already. So, if that were a possibility, if part of it could come out, or if a planter could be put, or some kind of compromise, but yet still keep access to the front door open. That's what I would hope for.
Okay. Okay. No questions further? Does anyone else wish to speak either for or against this proposal?
I guess I had one other question about
Sure,
that.
sure.
With my application, I submitted, a number of photos. I think there's actually 9 different other residences that are either right in the neighborhood or elsewhere in the city. I guess it doesn't take too much to find places, that are not compliant. Did all the board members, were they able to review that?
I don't recall seeing a bunch of photographs. Am I just having another senior moment here, or?
I don't recall the submittal from January.
Okay, is that something, would you like to take a look at that? Would you mind passing that around?
We would
or-
certainly take a look at that. It's part of the argument that you're trying to make on why we
there's
should get the variance.
definitely, there's variances out there, whether they were, just not enforced, or they received the variance, which sounds like, in general, you're not inclined to give a variance under this ordinance.
Well, that remains to be seen on how the vote will go. I can say personally that I'm not inclined, after getting the direction that we got from the council as a result of the issue raised by Alderman Zimmer. But I'm one of 5, and they may have other alternatives.
And then for those those that were here or not at the last meeting, I think there were maybe less board members the last time for whatever reason. I kind of made the point that a lot of these properties, such as this one, which was built in 1967, they really they weren't built at a time when people had as many cars as they do these days. So, trying to accommodate off-street parking, which is actually good for, the tenants want it. I believe it actually increases property values, and also I believe it's good for the city because, for snow removal, if you have off-street parking, you don't have to work around vehicles in the street, for brush pickup, and other city services, that street sweeping, such as that. It's good to have the off-street parking available.
I agree. We have other concerns regarding this issue, though. We all taken a look at what the applicant has presented. Basically, what you're doing is showing evidence of other properties with similar uses that you propose regarding the variance? to-
Yes.
In other words, parking in front of the front door.
Well, parking or not, I think that they could park there. Because there is a slab, there's a driveway extension that extends, up to the front door or close to the front door. I think the thing that I'm proposing of having some sort of a parking stop is actually an improvement, over what, if you take a look at these photos and other locations, if you drive around town, it doesn't take long to find a lot of violations of this ordinance. So, at least I'm trying to accommodate what I thought the intent was. And, I guess I never got any further clarification on the intent. My understanding was that the intent was to avoid blocking the primary entrance.
That was the concern expressed by the fire department. Tom, I think you had more information on that. I don't want to summarize the information that you got, but if you wanted to comment on that now, at this point.
Basically, I reached out to both the police department and the fire department, and both of them came back with the opinion that having that type of parking in front of the primary access was not looked upon favorably. The folks in the fire department actually cited where a car had caught on fire, and when that happened, the people inside the building couldn't go out that way. So, there didn't seem to be any bid with respect to changing the ordinance from those folks.
So, did you have any other comments?
No.
Any other further questions, gentlemen? Okay, if you could have a seat. Thank you, Alderman.
All right, thank you.
Your thoughts, gentlemen? If you can refresh your minds from where we were 4 months ago.
Well,
I guess I'll say that, folks, my perspective is pretty clear that the direction we have is not grant a variance on these type of issues.
right.
I think we did what we should do, which is, we've seen it a lot, let's bubble it back up and let the council review the ordinance and do the right work, and then they came back and said, this is the direction, which is what we want, right?
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, we've raised this issue with them before, and we got the same results, so I'm afraid that at this point, unless this board is prepared to rewrite an ordinance, I think our direction is fairly clear how much we can do. So,
I could just remind you, like any other variance request, a hardship is involved, so I think if you have some discretion to grant a variance if you find the hardship, it's just, there couldn't be a change to the ordinance that was universal that would fit every situation.
Right. We certainly reserve the right as a board to consider each item individually, but in this case, I personally don't see it.
Do we know if as the Alderman Dorf is, she still?
She left.
Was talking about, was the compromise part of that idea that Zimmer was bringing up, Dorf was talking about as a compromise of putting a barrier 5 feet so it's impossible in way to park? And was that brought up in the council's discussion, do we know? The compromise that was being, you know what I'm saying? Because there's the ordinance overall, and then there's the compromise.
I don't think that was specified, no.
Okay.
I think it's a case, again, where I think those issues come before the board, it's an opportunity to look at alternatives based on the situation, but there's, again, a universal solution to alleviate the situation.
Yeah. Okay.
Motion would be probably in order.
I make a motion to deny the request.
I'll second that.
Okay, regarding Mr. Jandrain's property, we've had a motions made and seconded to deny his request for a variance for his property on Fern Lane. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oops. So on this, are we voting yes or no?
Yes.
We are voting yes to the motion. The motion is made to deny.
The motion was made to deny.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So vote for current item.
I don't think it's yes, because it's saying,
Yeah, yes would be approving the
Yes.
current motion,
No.
which is to deny.
Okay.
No would be to be against the current motion, which would be deny, to deny.
Okay.
You can still record me as a yes.
Yes.
I think we're all voted, right? No,
Yep.
I'm in
Aye.
business.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. Have we got, has there been a winner?
I think verbally we are. I think we're asking about this though, because it doesn't say to deny in here.
Right, it doesn't change something because it's not written into it. Yeah.
So on this, are we voting no then? On the,
Voting.
I didn't hear the motion.
The motion,
voting to deny.
The motion was to not.
yes,
So a yes supports the motion,
got it.
and no rejects the motion.
Okay.
It didn't come up for you. I get just voice vote then.
yeah, just go with the voice vote.
All right.
We'll get it, we'll get this figured out eventually. All right, Mr. Jandrain, your request for variance has been denied.
Okay, and then as far as trying to understand what I must do, if I can do anything short of tearing out all the concrete, is that something I can just take up with the permit department?
Yep.
To tell me what they would allow me to retain?
Correct, yes. You can work with the inspector.
Work with an
Certain time period
inspector
To
To,
rectify it.
okay, determine what, if any, they would allow me to retain,
Correct. We can work with you on that.
okay? All right?
Okay, we'll move on to the next item, which is the Truckee property on Haven Place. Would you care to identify yourself?
Roger Truckee, 3359 Haven Place.
Okay, what's the case you want to make regarding the variance request?
There's two things. One is driveway width and the other is the number of driveways. I live on the far west side of Green Bay, at the city limits almost. My house is on a hill. There's a low driveway for the house and a high driveway. The high one enters the house, the low one goes to my septic, which is way in the back of the lot, almost an acre deep. That's been that way. My house is about 50 years old. My wife and I have lived there for 40. The lot alongside, which would be there to the right, you can see the driveway at the end where the trees are, almost at the end of the screen. About 5 years ago, I went to the city and asked if I could put a driveway in there, and they said, go ahead, you don't need nothing. I said, well, I'd like a permit anyway, because, just to have it. So they gave me a permit, no problem. So that's the third driveway. You can see how my garage is laid out in the house. It's pretty much feeds the width of the house and the garage, my driveways. I was informed by the city that 50 years ago, I did not, or there was not a permit to have a driveway for the house. So I paid a $75 fee last month to have a permit for the house driveway, after 50 years of not having one. So that's about, it's a very poor condition road. There's a lot of driveways. Some are gravel, some are just as wide. I would like to be able to keep the 3 driveways and the width.
Basically, you've got a situation that exists, you would maintain that it's existed for a long time, and for whatever reason, the issue has been called.
Well, the issue's been called because they were gonna redo our road,
Oh,
Hillcrest and Haven, and
This is-
that's how it all
this is
come
that
up.
one. All right.
Yeah, because I asked, I said, is everybody getting questions about their driveways in the city? And they said, no. I said, if I didn't call, maybe I wouldn't have had to come. It's a possibility.
Where do the other driveways feed into?
The driveway, it says on the left, goes to the lot right there. The driveway in the center goes to my house and garage, and the driveway on the right is used to go to my septic tank that is back, about where that A is, off of, the red A.
Okay.
The septic tank, I got 2 septic tanks back there, and they have to come back to truck in
Okay.
I think it-
It's kind of hard to see the driveways on the ends.
Because there isn't really a drive there, there's just an entryway off the road. right?
Correct, there's,
Okay.
well, the ditch is about 4 feet deep, 3 to 4 feet deep, and there's a culvert, and then,
So
Okay.
right now, it's on the far left as we're looking at it.
There's one
the
on
the
each
septic is on the far left,
Right.
Okay.
way back behind them, that red tree.
So you use it to access it?
Yes.
Okay,
Well, every 3 years it has to be pumped
yeah.
and inspected, so the truck backs in there so he can reach with the hose to pump out both tanks.
And what's the other driveway used for?
That one I just put in, that was the one I asked the city if I could put one in for that lot, because sometimes I use that to come into my driveway instead of trying to back up the big trailer. And they said, no problem, put it in. I said, well, I'd like a permit. "Well, you don't need one. I said, but I'd like one. So they gave me, I have it with me if you'd like to see it.
No, we're good.
So the variance that we're being asked for, would this variance then mean that when Haven Place is redone, that there will be curb cuts put in? Presumably, we're dealing with putting in curb and gutter on Haven Place.
No,
Not sure, I don't believe so. This is a
this
rural
is just gonna be a
section.
resurface.
Oh, okay,
The curb
I was
is-
jumping too far.
The curb and gutter is on Hillcrest only.
All right, so we're being asked to just ratify the existing situation.
Correct.
Yes, well, right, the number of those drives and then that main drive is larger than the maximum width.
Right, there's that issue too.
And these are not, the other two are not paved driveways.
No, they're just gravel with grass
culvert.
growing on top.
Okay.
That's a copy of the permit I got, I think, 5 years ago for the one I didn't need, but
All right, any further questions of the applicant? Okay, sir, if you could have a seat, we
Thank you.
will deliberate.
I'd be willing to support this as long as he doesn't pave those other two driveways, ever, right? That their existence is there for the sake of what he's put them there for, but he can't ever pave them.
Yeah, I'm not sure we're giving him authority to do that by giving him a variance, so.
Well,
Are we, Paul?
we could say, he doesn't have to remove the
Yeah.
culvert, and the drive, but he can't ever pave it. I
Yeah,
think we can say
I'm
that.
fine with that.
Yeah, we can say he's got to paint it pink if we want.
Right.
We're not gonna do that.
The main driveway maybe could be painted pink.
Yeah.
I do have one question on that thought.
What, pink?
No. That's nice, but if maybe 10, 20, 30 years down the road, those might be developed as lots, who knows?
Then that's
But
a
right
completely
now,
different
it's,
story.
Yeah, that's
Then
a
it would be
different story.
okay.
That's a
Okay.
different story.
I think, there's a hardship, he's gotta get to his tank and, we're just ratifying what's been in existence before.
Yeah.
It's a rural area,
I'd feel different if there were curb and gutter and stuff
Yeah.
like that too, I think.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering if we were ratifying it.
my understanding is there'll never be sewer and water out here because it goes to the city limits, and then it would have to go through Oneida back to 54 and come back into Green Bay, so that's my understanding, and I think you'd agree with it.
I move to allow the continued existence of these three drives, including the extra width on the center drive, with the provision that the two ancillaries are never paved.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to approve Mr. Trucky's variance request with the caveat as explained. Further discussion? All in favor? Can you put me on this month? You got me on April and I can't.
We're saying yes. If you approve it, it's yes. If you deny it, it's no.
This would be,
This is
I
an
guess,
approval with a contingency.
approval with a contingency.
All right. Are we still doing it verbally or just digitally? Or both?
Depends on,
We better all do it,
Does everybody know why? Should we tell them why it's a little bumpy?
yeah, they know it's my problem, but we're gonna get better at this, but at the present time, we'll do an oral roll call, and I believe we have 5 ayes. Am I wrong?
Yes.
Yes.
Very well. You got your variance as you requested.
Thank you all very much.
just put next to it if it says leave meeting.
We're getting there. There we go. Next is Dylan O'Brien, property owner on Bader Street. And for the record, would you care to identify yourself?
Yes, property owner Dylan O'Brien, 629 Bader Street.
Okay, could you explain the request that you have before us tonight?
Yes, the variance, I'd like to ask permission to construct a front porch to the front entryway into the dwelling on 629 Bader Street. It is a low-density residential area. Basically, we are constructing a porch which is 7 feet by 20 feet wide in width and diameter. The existing front porch it wasn't safe, it wasn't a viable entry, and we decided to construct a front porch in the front entryway area. It's, I got the plans and the dimensions here if you guys would like to see them that we got directly from Menards.
Yeah, I think we would like to see them, if you could
Okay.
at least
Sure.
allow us to look at what you've got.
This here is basically everything from, this is the actual picture of what the front porch looks like. This will give you width and length here. Minus the stairs, the drawing calls for 25 feet in length. However, the stairs, it's actually 21. So the stairs, you come out the front entryway here, down the length of the porch, and the front stairs goes and ends at the driveway.
So basically, you're putting a front deck on.
Pretty much, yes.
Is there a reason why we're talking about such a large front porch, given the fact that we have the ordinance saying what it says?
In my opinion, I don't believe it's extremely large. It's definitely larger than your normal size front porch or back porch. It's the actual size of a back porch, or back deck, I'm sorry. It's significant, but it's not an eyesore. It's all construction has ceased. It's kind of halfway finished, just the foundation or the support beams are in place, the front fascia where you walk on is in place. It's attached to the home, but it's not complete yet.
Okay.
The variance is not for the width of the porch.
I know.
It's for the setback.
Yes.
Okay.
I didn't quite understand. I read it, but I apologize. I couldn't really understand what the setback was. Is that from the street or is that from the dwelling itself?
Well, rather than me explain it, we'll let the experts explain.
Well, it'd be from the right-of-way line, so not so much the curb line, but the right-of-way line, kind of right in front of 629 there.
Okay.
So it's part of the principal dwelling. This is the primary access to the dwelling, so we treat that as part of the structure.
Okay.
And it's encroaching within the front setback, which is
20
not-
feet, I believe.
Well, it, probably based on the average in that block, I don't know the exact dimension, but it's encroaching nonetheless, so that's the reason for the variance.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of read the ordinance, it stated something along the lines of 25 square feet. If the dwelling itself is 25 square feet,
Right.
and then there's a specific percentage that the porch needs to be with the setback.
That's really our policy again. It's this 5 by 5 or 25 square foot area
Okay.
that allows, is permissible in the setback because you need access to your dwelling. That's considered acceptable. When you exceed that, then you're really going beyond those scope, that limit, and you need the variance for that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I was asking, sir, why you wanted it, A, that large, and B, why you wanted a deck in the front rather than the back. So I'm trying to establish what the need is for what you're proposing to require a variance for.
Okay. Well, the backyard itself has a severe incline, so the level of the house itself, the dwelling, is lower than the actual ground level in the backyard. So I mean, the deck in the front area we thought would be more, I don't know how you would call it, but it would be somewhere where people could entertain, sit on the front porch. It's a fairly busy street. There's a lot to see there versus the backyard where you're looking at just a big hill.
Okay.
I mean, our purposes, I guess it's more cosmetic, our idea of having it in the front versus having it in the backyard. That's, I guess, the reason why we're asking for the variance.
Okay.
Could you build it smaller in the front or not?
That's
You know.
definitely an option, yes. We could probably shrink it down to the 5 by 5, I believe. I can't remember.
Right, you would need a
Exactly.
variance at that point.
Okay. Well, at the end of the day, I would like to do the work to deconstruct what we've already constructed.
Oh, it's already
Yes,
off.
so the
Oh,
base
okay.
and the footings and the length of the deck is attached to the home. It's in there. However, once we got the note that it could have been, we need to request a variance from this committee, we stopped all construction. We stopped immediately and just left it as it was. Right now, currently, this is an older picture. We've trimmed down some of the trees, well, myself and my family. We put a new roof on there. There's new siding, new vinyl siding throughout the house. I've talked to neighbors to the left and to the right. They all, believe in what we've done to the property so far. And that's another reason why we'd like to continue with the deck that we have now, to kind of continue to make the property look a lot nicer. And, it was kind of an eyesore in the neighborhood. It's a home that was built in the late 1940s, maybe 1950. I can't believe the exact date. But like I said, we've done a significant amount of improvements to the residence itself over the last 8 months. This is one of the last pieces that we need to finish up in order to have the house ready to move in.
Okay.
Is this a porch or is it a deck? You're calling it a porch, but in my mind, I see a porch and it's got a canopy over it or an awning over it. Does this have an awning or a
It does
canopy
not.
over it?
It does not. It had an existing one, however, we took it down. You can kind of see in this picture here. Over
Yeah,
the
it looked
front.
like it was a metal one or something.
Yeah, it was very old, and it wasn't anchored safe, so. it
So there's
was
no
very
roof
unsafe.
over this?
Correct. It's more of a deck.
But you're gonna have a fence on it, correct?
Correct.
According to this.
Yes, there's gonna be a fence by the entry stairway from the driveway, as well as the length of the deck street side.
Okay, any further questions for the applicant? All right, sir, if you could have a seat, we'll deliberate.
Thank you.
Thoughts, gentlemen?
I've got a question for Paul. If this had been, say the house were further back on the lot, would this be an approvable front porch?
I believe so, yeah. The only issue here is the encroachment in the front setback.
So we don't have a requirement about decks on the fronts of houses?
Not that I'm aware of. I'm not sure it's in keeping with the architecture necessarily, but we're not really regulating that. It's more of a setback issue.
Yeah, okay. Because it's not consistent with like some of the other houses in the neighborhood. in terms
Right,
of
they might just have
what's
simple
there.
porches. They might have a 5 by 5 or something, where it's basic stoop to get into the home.
Yeah, or something, or something roofed over,
Yeah.
with support columns and kind of a little bit more, I guess, neighborhood traditional in terms of that layout.
Would it be possible for me to point out the fact that the deck is 2 feet larger than the proposed 5 by 5 dimensions? So as we sit now, the deck itself is 2 feet over Troy's Road.
Right, I understand, yeah. What you're arguing is that if you had even maybe a 7 by 7, you'd be in a situation that's really just a replacement of what you have or had.
Yes.
And what your point would be is that if that were okay, then you're just making it wider, and that shouldn't be a problem. So if anything, we're arguing aesthetics up here, which, if we can paint the guy's road pink, we have judgment sometimes, so.
Okay.
We're not up here to be the aesthetic police, but we are up here to try to fit everybody in as best we can as to how these variances work out in the long run. I'm okay with this.
I don't see a hardship.
I'm okay with it too, because the hardship I'd say is the fact that the backyard isn't really, he said he couldn't really use that. And looking into relation of what variance is and the significance of it, not too significant, and it's the setback, not necessarily the size of it.
Right.
And so I'm okay with it. He wants to go back, let's, okay with approving it.
Can I ask a question to make sure I'm understanding this correctly? If it was 5 by 21, so the depth was 5 feet, we wouldn't have an issue, versus it being 7 feet.
Correct.
Is there a reason why you want 7 feet versus 5 feet?
Just the overall layout of the deck itself, where the dimensions with the materials that we had, that's what it called for, to be 7 feet in width. Structural safety, there was no call either way. If you went 7 or if we went 5, we weren't able to extend out and have the support, I thought. So that's why we went with the dimension of 7.
So you're saying that when you, was it Menard that was recommending that, when you were designing it, saying at 7 feet structurally
Yes,
it has
yes.
better support versus 5 feet?
7, they recommended 7.
Huh.
Without us knowing that the restrictions were 5.
Yeah.
5 feet,
When I think about people sitting on a porch drinking iced tea and watching the traffic, I can see the argument for 7 feet because you've got a chair and a table and people around it, rather than 5 where you're going to be snugged up against the wall of the house. So,
Yeah.
based on the intent of use, I can, see some leeway as far as granting this perspective of 7 versus 5.
And why, just again, helping me get up to speed, why is it at 5 feet? What was is there a reason from the city's perspective that a stoop or a front porch is at 5 feet? Is it because it's just an entryway usually?
It's probably just a common dimension for stoops, I'm guessing. Again, it's a policy that we have internally as a staff. So it could be allowed to encroach if it was 5 by 5, except it goes in 2 feet. It goes in 2 feet further in the setback. So you're right, if it was outside the setback, it would not be an issue.
Okay.
A motion would be appropriate, perhaps?
I'll make a motion to approve his variance requested.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to approve the request for the property owner at Bader Street. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Consent. Do you want to do that? All against?
Nay.
All against?
Nay.
Are we in?
I got that.
And what is the result?
Approved.
Approved. You're good, 3-2.
Thank you.
This is weird. All right. Editorial comment by the chairman will be ignored. Item number 5, Ms. Dorn and Ms. Chabala? Sorry if I didn't do very well with those names.
It's Rich Koala.
Koala?
Koala.
Really?
Yes.
Anyway, you have a case to make regarding variance. You want to do something with your parking?
We already did.
Yeah, okay.
So we hired Bill's Asphalt to come and redo our parking lot. And he apparently did not pull the appropriate permits. So the parking lot is all done. And the second driveway can't, it's up, right up, there's a fence, the property owner's fence and the second driveway, and that can't be there, but it's been there for probably 100 years. So that the whole thing we had re-blacked out.
Okay, so what's done is done,
Yep,
but for whatever reason, you're here to ask for a variance on what you've done.
yeah, because we shouldn't have, or barely.
It did not conform with the ordinance.
Yeah.
The issue of pulling the permit, are these ladies a victim of a contractor who didn't do something, or how does the city look at
I
this?
don't know the full backstory.
All right.
Except that the work was done.
The work is done, and it needs to have a variance, or something else has to be done.
Yes.
Okay, now, you run, maybe you could explain the type of business you run here, and perhaps the history of the building?
Okay, so the front half is a child care center, and then the middle half, which you can't see as much, is an elderly center, and then at the end again is a daycare center. So we take care of children and elderly.
Okay.
And all our customers and parents park in front, the long part of it, and then our staff all park on the L part of it.
If we take out the driveway to the L, the staff will not be able to, the way the parking lot is laid out, be able to exit the parking lot easily.
So.
On the right, there's another, that's behind that tree, there's another parking.
Yeah.
There's a driveway there.
There's a driveway
So
there.
they come in here, park, and then they pull out.
Pull out,
The other
yeah.
one. The other one's not supposed to be there.
Apparently, yes.
Got it.
Or it can be there, but we need a 15-foot buffer.
From the fence.
Yeah, and that would take the
Got it.
driveway.
Okay.
Okay, so once upon a time, this was a school,
Yes, many
Okay.
years ago.
and it's this parking lot that was in place with the
Mhm.
school, okay?
Yes.
So we transitioned from a school to your place of business, right?
Yeah, it sat empty for quite a while.
Okay.
And then now, Care for All Ages has been there for 26 years. So we've operated with it like this for probably 26 years, and I think the parking lot is very well, it's been there for a really long time.
Okay, just to be clear though, because I saw documentation with respect to storm sewers and
Well,
things like that.
yeah,
Correct.
we have
Okay.
to,
Wait, well, because where I want to go with my comment is that we are not in a position to allow any kind of variances with respect to storm sewers or those kind of things.
Correct.
Yep.
The only two things that we can deal with goes with the interior parking lot landscaping,
Yep.
okay? And the landscape buffer.
right.
So we're not part of
Nope,
storm
nope.
sewer
No,
in any way, shape, or form.
We
Okay.
already are looking at something with that.
Just want to make that clear, that's all.
Yep, yeah.
So Paul, the issue is just the driveway? Extra driveway in the far end?
Well, it's a transitional yard issue, so it's a non-residential use, parking the drive area up against a residential area. So the theory is that you're gonna get headlights and visibility of looking at a parking lot, there should be a 10-foot transitional area in there to buffer the neighbor to the west.
And we do have a letter from the neighbor stating that they don't have a problem with it.
That one that would be most
Yeah,
effective?
that they don't have a problem with it at all.
Okay, so this is like what we had for the Carlton East, where they had that little narrow property, but they had to move their driveway in even more. Okay, now I understand.
And then the second part of it is the little island things, the islands that we have to put in there for more green space, is that what it is? We have a kind of a lot of green.
So if we looked at where it's like an L shape here, right?
Yep.
All
mhm.
that green above the cars parked in that part of the L, is that yours?
Yep, that's all the length all the way back. It's a big field.
So that's all green space that you own?
Correct.
Yep, and then in front of our building too, there's a lot of, in front of the daycare, it's pea gravel for the playground, but then in front of the elderly center and all behind it is also all green space.
I have a question for Paul. The issue regarding the interior landscaping inside of a parking area, is there anything, I'm showing my ignorance of the ordinance, is there anything in there that talks about the size of the parking area? I guess what I'm getting at is, in my limited understanding, I can understand if we had a big parking area, let's say a big rectangle, I can understand why you'd want interior to break up the parking area. This is actually a fairly small, and it's like is that just something we should take into account, or is there something in the ordinance that talks about explicitly that and gives them a break or not a break or whatever?
It talks about 25 parking spaces.
So that's the
So that's
size.
the threshold.
If you go above 25, you've got to do everything it says regarding interior
But
landscape.
then the 5% kicks in because it's an existing parking area.
Okay.
If it was brand new construction, it'd be 10%. So 5% is a discount to the existing parking.
Okay.
So what does that mean exactly? We have to have,
So then you'd have to provide 5% of that paved area would have to be
Okay.
in the form of an island or something.
Okay.
The idea is to break up the pavement.
We, the contractor that we had started, this happened, when they were doing it, this happened, and he assured us that he was gonna take care of all of it, and I believe he did start to with Robert Lee's office, but then come spring, early this spring, he stopped and handed it to one of the employees and said, okay, well, we're done. We're out of this. This is your guys' problem. So that's kind of where,
That's why you're here.
Yeah.
All right.
Because we would have never went into this knowing, because it wasn't a cheap project.
I was surprised. I was very surprised how much I got that. Any further questions of the applicant?
How many spots would you say you have currently in the L?
In the L,
But I'm trying to count on the plan right now. I'm guessing 50.
Well, what plan do you have? See, that plan,
That one.
they drew, we didn't draw that up.
Yeah.
Somebody else, we're not sure who did that.
Robert Eatley.
Yeah, they drew that up.
Okay.
So we're not really
The
sure.
lines are not on the parking lot yet.
Yeah, we didn't
We've
do
been
anything.
waiting
Oh, okay.
to do the lines, so if you tell us how many parking spots you want, that's what we will, we will
We're
line
waiting.
it.
24.
All right. Further discussion, further questions?
So do any of these drawings that you've submitted to date show these landscaped islands?
No, I don't believe.
So we don't know what that would potentially look like?
We don't have an alternative place before us that shows the compliance. That's what you're getting at.
Yeah.
Further questions of the applicants? You could have a seat, we'll deliberate.
Yes.
I frankly don't see how they could put in the landscaping that is going to be at all helpful here,
Yeah.
other than to just make it impossible.
Yeah, to travel around the
Yeah.
lot.
I think the hardship's the congestion.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's narrow, it's about as narrow as you can make it, you know, in both dimensions with the parking.
Yeah, with all due respect to the ordinance, I'm not sure that it, I guess that's why we're here. But, that, I guess to make a long story short, I don't have a problem with what they're talking about. Basically, the applicants entered into a situation where they just wanted to fix their parking lot.
And they were doing exactly what's been there and in use for many, many years.
Yep, and in fact, as designed as it was when it was a public facility, so I'm all right with this.
And, you know, yeah, it certainly, when you look at a project like that, you expect that the folks handling the business for you are gonna be on time.
For that amount of money, yeah.
Regulations, but
Yeah, absolutely. I'll make a
I know that
motion.
itself isn't necessarily a hardship from our perspective, but
Right.
it is, but, yeah.
Well, yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance.
Second.
Okay, we have motion made and seconded to approve the variance for the old Norwood School property. All in favor of this?
Aye.
Aye.
So as a point of order, are we gonna say aye and nay even while we're voting electronically, or are we not gonna?
For this meeting, I think we are,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
I think it's in the public interest to know which one of us say what.
yeah, who's
Yeah.
the hard one or something like that?
Yeah. So we're not gonna do this, I don't know who did it, I don't know.
No secret ballots.
Yeah, no secret ballots here, exactly. So we're in, right? We're approved. You're good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Every time it's 4-1. Who is that guy?
Yeah,
Thank you, good luck.
Thank you.
all right.
What you did, we find part of your.
Mr. Adam Doyen.
Yes.
EDZ Investments, repave a driveway, construct a new garage. Tell us your situation.
Well, yeah, right now it's all gravel, the whole backyard's gravel. I wanna build a garage in the corner, off the offsets, and then you can see how it's all, the driveway is destroyed. So I think I'm 3% over with the sidewalks going in the house for the lot size.
So what now, you've got
It's all gravel right now.
all
whole
gravel
back,
and no garage.
and no garage, yeah.
So you wanna pave it and put in a garage?
Yep, and then plant grass where the gravel is, all the blue.
Yeah.
Right now it's all gravel, but no matter which I do, I'm like 3 to 5% over.
Right. Right, that's the issue here? That's
Green
all?
space, yes.
Just the 50% impervious, that's it?
Correct.
Okay.
What's the width of your lot? 50
It's-
feet, I see it.
yeah.
I just saw it.
15
Yeah, there's
barrel.
not much way you can get those structures on there with that
Right?
square footage, right?
Yeah, I know, it's just all gravel with no grass at all,
Well,
really.
now, if he left it gravel, is he okay? Except for maybe something else.
It's considered non-conforming, it could remain, sure.
Okay, all right, so
I just wanted to clean it
you're,
up.
you're in this situation where if you leave it the way it is, you're okay. If you want to do it right, you need a variance.
Yeah,
That's
when I bought it as a foreclosure, and yeah, I wanna fix the whole thing up and make it look nice.
I think it's in the interest. Anyway, I won't editorialize. Is there any questions for the applicant?
No.
Okay, sir, could you have a seat?
Move to approve.
Second. You might have this approved before you sit down. We have a motion made and approved and seconded to approve the variance request from Mr. Doyen. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, we're getting it. All right, yeah, you're good.
Awesome.
And the computer even says it, so
I
we're.
just got the letter because I was out of town working, so I flew back from Crivets and I don't know if I miss it.
Oh,
Thank you very much.
glad you did, sir. Thank you. Mr. Nitka, the Booyah Shed.
Dan Nitka with the Booyah Shed. We signed a lease 2 months ago over Texas Joe's old place. We were told the place was ready to be a restaurant, and we started making some changes inside. Found out it's only good for smoking or steaming food. So we need to put an air makeup unit in, and we also would like to put a little shed on the outside, this side here, just to store for our Booyah kettle in the freezer. Currently, our mobile unit is parked there now, which takes up 14 by 280 square feet. We're talking about only half that space we're using when we're not having our mobile unit opened. Everything would be designed basically just a little steel shed, and so it could be taken down if we do leave with a lease or anything. We have a 3-year lease on the building. And pretty much, but we had to put the air makeup unit on the back side, a little in the blue there, and come into the back wall with that so we can actually use it as a kitchen.
Okay. Maybe I'm slow again, Paul, but could you show, we've got a setback issue perhaps on 2 sides, or is it just one?
It's on 2 sides. You can see the right-of-way is quite large here compared to the
Yeah.
lot width, so there's a front yard, front or corner side yard setback and encroachment of that structure, and there's little to no green space, so they're over the max 80% impervious coverage.
We wouldn't be taking away any green space. We're going to have an existing parking lot on the north side only. We did move it it was on the west side until we couldn't have it there at all. So it's only on the north west corner where that umbrella is right now. We show the PDF there what it is. But pretty much right now, our mobile unit's parked there because we have a conditional license. We can use the kitchen but not cook out of it. We got a licensed mobile restaurant. So right now, we take up 280 square feet when we open that up. And so this is only half of that. What we'll be
Yeah,
doing.
apparently you're non-conforming regarding impervious surface right off the bat.
Okay. I didn't know it was, that's all
Right,
the building was.
yeah, he's over right away, there's really nothing you can do about that. Now, the one that puzzles me is to the left, apparently you're jutting out a bit to put in this.
No, we're not doing anything. We'll be flush with the back of the building.
Ah, okay.
If you pull the PDF back up, I've got everything lined up with the back of the building.
See, I see that red part, but that's existing.
That's just
All right,
like a
that's-
little garden area or
It's
whatever.
just my confusion. Now, Paul, could you show how much he's actually, I couldn't figure it out from the diagram. Could you show how much he's impinging on what he would be allowed to otherwise?
I don't know if I have a good dimension, but it's 15 feet off of that north
Yeah, they're about
property.
5 feet, maybe 4 to 5 feet.
15 feet in from the green line on the top there, essentially, off of the green line near the Victory Boulevard side.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
And what's the width, if you will, Paul, of the terrace from the parcel edge to the actual pavement of the street?
I'm gonna guess about 10 feet.
About 10.
Yeah, we would be about 25 feet from the shed where we want to put up to the curb. It's like that much.
Is this structure pretty small?
10 by 12 or 10 by, about 120 square feet. And it basically is, we have a 90-gallon kettle, and we want to put a window, people like to see this. Right now, we cook it on our mobile unit, and this is just going to be cleaner and smaller, and everything's designed that we can just unscrew it from the building and take it down if we leave. And just going to put it up.
Well, the whole thing is small, I mean, that's a small building. It's
Right,
not-
exactly. Our mobile unit takes up,
Is this supposed to say lot line?
yeah, I could show you right, let me see if I
I
have it.
looked for the green and I couldn't see anything, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah,
is
we have,
how
I have
far-
25 feet to the red, right there, you can see that dimension right here? It's 25 feet, that's from the curb.
All right, you're measuring from the curb.
Correct.
Is this the lot line?
Yeah.
That's pavement there. We did have a lot line in there a while back, but when we came for the variance,
It's pretty
We're
much
out-
what
it's
Trevor
probably
was-
close.
Probably close.
Yeah, it looks like it's almost on.
I think it was at like 4 or 5 feet. I think.
Okay, you need a variance of 5-ish feet?
Yeah, just for the air makeup and the mobile unit. And the air makeup unit will be just mounted on a pavement.
Tiny parcel.
Well, it's a
work.
3-sided with blocks, that's kind of hurting us there, which we didn't. We signed his lease thinking we could just, already put a hood in and cut out the fan and the air makeup have to be all changed.
So you guys kind of were surprised when you,
Yeah, so I'm running it out, cooking orders right now, so.
all right, well, we better get down to brass tacks here. Further questions of the applicant? A motion would be in order,
I
perhaps?
do have a question.
Oh, you have a question?
About, not for him, but when we received our
You can have
notes,
it, sir.
in the notes in red, there's notes on there. Did you see that?
I did not see
It
that.
is not
they put
allowed.
that-
It says not allowed, so like,
I assume that those were perhaps
Oh.
added by the applicant.
they're specifically there talking about the HVAC units.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what the situation is, there's some strip zoning here. Years ago, it used to be strip zoning to kind of create a buffer between residential and commercial. So basically from the edge of the building to the sidewalk or to the property line on the west side of the building is zone R1. So a commercial structure can't encroach into that zoning district. So that's kind of no man's land, that's no encroachment there. So he's kind of left, he's hemmed in on one side, can only expand to the north side in this case here. So even mechanicals and so forth can't encroach into that area.
Yeah.
So
The
they're saying-
zoning doesn't cover the entire parcel, in other words, it's split.
Right. It's
Okay,
not
so
a good
it's-
practice anymore, but that's what they used to do back in the day.
Got it. So it's not saying anything like, oh, him cooking in this shed or anything like that is not allowed. That's not what that's saying.
That strip, I don't know if it's 10 or 15 feet, says no commercial activity.
He's talking about the red annotations on the written application. It says not allowed a couple of times.
So I noticed that every once in a
I
while. I don't
just
know who's
assumed-
making those notes.
I just
don't know.
assumed was not anything we needed to worry about.
I don't think it's,
Just focus on what it says, the variance is that they're being requested, not any of the other stuff.
right.
Got it? Okay, cool, thank you. Thank you.
Brian,
Okay,
if we seem to be in agreement, perhaps we could have a motion. I mean, if we're not in
Greg?
agreement and wish to discuss more, we can do that too. I
I'll
just,
make a motion to approve.
Second.
okay, we have a motion made and seconded to approve the variance request for the Hooyah shed. Further discussion? All in favor?
all right.
Aye. Now you're
What if I
finalized?
say aye but push no?
Uh-oh, an accident.
Any event, I heard 5 approvals.
Yes, you got it.
You're good.
so much.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Ortega is next. We have Mr. Ortega here for item 8, Harold Street property? Nope. All right,
You want to table it?
yeah. Yeah, we can table
They
it.
left
Table.
after they.
Cut wind.
They got one at number one.
After they heard number one, I think they left.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I think we should give them a 30-day grace period or something. We have to deal with this somehow. Two people at the end require all things to have been dealt with, so,
We have a motion.
yes, a motion would be in order.
A motion to
Table.
table it for next meeting? Item,
The Ortega, number 8.
thank you.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to table item number 8 till next time. All in favor?
Aye.
5-0.
How do you vote on that?
I don't know.
Yes.
Abstain?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes or no?
Oh, yeah.
Either you agree with the motion or not.
All right. I think I heard approval, so,
Yes.
anyway, you're good.
All right. Hi,
Hi.
I'm Mark Vennyman with GEI Consultants here on
All right.
behalf of Nature's Way.
Yeah.
This is Wayne Devley with the owner.
All right.
We've got a typewritten form, so they're already looking good for.
Professional, right from the
Yeah.
start. Okay, so the proposal here is to allow for a wider than allowable driveway on the east side of the property off of Erie Road. As you know, the ordinance allows for a driveway that's 25 feet at the property line and 35 feet at the curb. This driveway is going to be used for accessed by semi-delivery trucks. And so what I've got shown here is a standard 45-foot turning radius of a semi-truck. So the yellow is what would be allowed by the code. The green added on is what we're proposing, which you can see basically lines up with the red turning radius tire trucks of a semi. So we're basically just trying to widen the driveway wide enough so that they're not running the curb over or having to veer off into oncoming traffic to make the turn. There's a lot of truck traffic, and putting in a multi-million-dollar expansion, it shouldn't have to deal with trucks running over the curb and constant mud in the ditch and everything else. So
Agreed.
it's basically just trying to make it look nice here.
And you offered as an example the,
Right,
And
yeah,
access
I
or
offered the
entrance on
example of
Ontario.
Ontario Road that I drive by every day on the way to work, and I'll have to back up to allow semis to try to make the turn, and it
oh, yeah.
just doesn't work, so.
All right. So that's all you're asking? is
Just wide enough so that we
The
can make the
ordinance says
turn.
yellow, you want green.
We want, the green and the yellow added
Nice
together,
color
so
choice.
35 feet at the curb and 50 at the road, so another 10 to 15 feet, basically.
That's all it is, right, Paul?
Correct.
Good. Questions of the applicants? Okay, sir?
Thank you.
Sir?
Second.
We already have a motion to approve and seconded. This would be the property that has just been presented to us regarding Erie Road properties.
Should we put on the record the hardship? The hardship is the semi is routing and so forth, just so we have it on the record.
Sure, I think the record was made, but
But just some discussion that's
Yeah.
why we're
the
approving.
basis for the approval that apparently we are about to give is based on the...
We did that for the property owned by Grand Tech as well. if
I
you
know.
recall.
All right, we've done it over on the west side, too. Okay, so I believe yes is what we are proposing to do.
Was there a second?
Yeah, I
Motion,
seconded.
second, now
Yes.
vote.
Thank you.
Sorry, the chairman slipped up here. The motion was made and seconded, and it has been approved. You're good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Boy, we're moving along here much better than I expected.
That's, in the past, we have, when we've seen some things that were of concern to us, that maybe the code isn't, is generating the variance requests rather than,
This is one of
the
them.
world. This would be one of them. I mean, it seems like maybe the turning radius in an industrial zoning might be not big enough, or the driveway width should be considered. Is that something that we can send as a communication to Plan Commission or whoever to say, could you look at driveway width in industrial zones?
Sure.
I would ask that that be done, or move that that be done.
I think that's a reasonable request. Otherwise, we're sitting in a situation where we're granting variances, but that shouldn't probably be the standard procedure.
Is that something you want to, well, it's not an action item at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
Just
just
have staff.
communication. Yeah, I mean, could you just do that? And
Yeah, staff.
What is the mechanism? Do you guys carry a proposal, recommendation? I don't know what the
Good
impetus
question.
is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could simply, I represent you as a staff, you could direct me to investigate further, I guess. I think that's all,
please do so.
yeah.
Yeah, let's have a motion to do that.
Well,
So
but there's no
moved.
action item.
Okay,
so-
yeah, there's an action item for us to actually act on
Right.
relative to that, so it's more of just please,
Please.
Paul, look into that.
I think the spirit of the
Bring it
board
back.
is that the possibility of this being an ordinance instead of a continual variance request is something that's helpful for everybody. If you
Yeah.
could-
Although we could say it's just a subsequent action on the variance request that we just dealt with, isn't it?
I think so, as long as there's consensus with the group. Without voting, you could just direct staff to review that.
Yeah, I think that's appropriate.
Okay. I'm cool with that.
Item number 10 is the Renard Gantz. Did I get that even close?
Yes.
All right.
She's Renard Gantz, I'm just Gantz.
Oh, okay, sorry. Slow on the update, but that's typical for me. All right. You've got property at Victoria Street, you'd like to do something.
Yes. What we're looking to do, we have a privacy fence in the backyard right now, and we'd like to put a storage shed in behind the garage inside the privacy fence. To stay 3 feet from the garage, we have to come up to inside the privacy fence, I think 14 inches from the property line, and I think it's a 4-foot variance.
Ordinance.
Or ordinance, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, yeah. And to build a shed that we need, we would like an 8 by 12-foot shed for our storage purposes. If I built inside the variances, I think the shed could only be about 4 feet wide.
My question for you is, why did you not rebuild your garage to extend that far back? That would have.
I can tell you the story of how this all happened. Renee bought the house after she got divorced.
Okay.
And then her and I met afterwards and got married, and there was already an addition built on the garage. But now with 2 of us living there, I have 2 Harleys, a vehicle, she has a vehicle. There's no room in the garage for anything, and now we have a grandson, so we're trying to find room to put the 2 Harleys for storage and try and squeeze my boat in somehow. And then toys, gardening tools. 8 by 12 shed isn't big enough, but we're just gonna have to do.
Yeah, but if you rebuilt your garage to just extend all the way back, you'd free up that 3 feet that you want to keep,
Well-
and then that would be, you'd have all your space, plus you'd be within the setback.
Well, a little bit of thing is a cost too. I can build a shed for like $1,100. To have somebody come and put an addition on the garage, I'm disabled, I can't afford it.
Yeah, okay, so it's something you've considered but rejected
Yes.
on the basis of economics.
Correct, yeah, to pour concrete in there would cost more than I believe in a shed would be to construct.
Mhm.
And it's mostly hidden, there's a field behind our house, it's a practice football field, and then there's a park off to the left. The privacy fence will cover about half of it. I checked with the neighbors and looked, it's not obstructing any view if they want to watch a football game, which is way off to the right of us. We're by the practice field.
Yeah, no, well, part of your argument is that you're trying to maintain this 3 feet between the shed and the garage?
From the garage, right,
And what is the reason for that?
when I talked to Chad downstairs, he said that it's a 3-foot ordinance. I'd give anything to build closer to the garage.
Yeah, that's a zoning code issue.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'd
so,
give
and
anything to go closer to the garage instead of going tight against the fence.
this is undoubtedly a fire protection
It
issue?
may also be a
Yes.
building code issue as well, so we require a fire rating on one or both walls.
Right.
Right, and to make it attached, again, I could build a shed and attach it to the garage, but again, that's gonna be such a pain to try and do. It's easier if it was just offset in the back. We wouldn't have to tamper with the construction of the garage. I don't wanna drill holes in it and.
Mhm. Okay, I guess I understand this one. You guys have any questions, further questions of the applicant?
Was the garage a variance request previously?
I don't know.
I mean, for the addition?
Well, or just for the size of it? I mean, is that
Well, the garage was like that when Renee bought it.
when you bought it?
Yeah,
Okay.
so we had nothing to do with that.
That wasn't just a recent purchase,
No.
that was a while.
Well, the purchase,
I'm just having deja vu on the configuration here.
Renee bought the house approximately 10 years ago.
Okay.
And the shed would be kept up, it's gonna be nice sided and everything. And if it mattered, I could make it pink.
No, I think we're gonna table that notion for a while. All right. If I hear no further questions from up on here, you guys can have a seat and we'll deliberate. I guess that was my only concern, is that if, to the extent that economics isn't an issue, the very perfect world would have been extending the garage back. You still would have had a space. It would have been expensive, but he would have had a space. And now that I understand the 3 feet idea, I guess that makes sense.
So just to clarify, then, you're saying that I want to make sure I understand right, that if this had been an addition, we'd be okay. The square footage that he's looking to add would have been.
You wouldn't have needed that 3 feet
Wouldn't have-
buffer.
Right, no, but so but we wouldn't, there wouldn't have been a variance request either?
I think he could have been right to the 4-foot line.
Or would we have been at a square footage total or something like that for all
Possibly,
buildings?
the relationship of the accessory to the principal might have been an issue. I don't know the exact numbers, but it could have been an issue.
What's the square footage of that proposed shed?
It's 96 square feet, 8 by 12. It might be a little inside of that, it might go 7.5 by 12, just the way the construction is gonna work on it, make everything fit.
I don't think that would have gone over the footprint of that house with another 96 feet on that garage.
Well, in any event, that's, if we were in a situation where there was perfectly no consideration of the applicant's economic situation, that would be the ideal. Obviously, part of the applicant's argument is that is a deal.
Not feasible, right?
And therefore, that's what he's come up with. To tell you the truth, just from my perspective, I think that having that park in the back is pretty significant on the extent to which I go along with this. I guess I'm generally in favor of what he's proposing to do.
The neighbors on the sides you talked to,
Yes,
they're okay with that?
absolutely.
I agree with you, Don, with respect to the back neighbor. You know, there's no harm, no foul as far as anybody being, hassled by having this little shed back there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my comment's the same, there's no one behind him, so it's not encroaching on anybody
Yeah.
but a property line. That being said, just my vote has been fairly consistent with the explanation of I need space for more stuff. I don't find that, it's a hard argument for me to digest sometimes.
I agree, I
But
agree.
in this sense,
The
it's not
convenience of-
encroaching on anybody, so.
That's why we're here. The city has given us directions that part of the consideration we can give is the extent to which the property owner is realizing the benefits and enjoyment of the property as he expected. That's really vague, but it's a definite modifier on some of the other considerations that are usually given, other directions that are usually given to board members like us, which is that it's a convenience, that's not enough. In this case, I think we have another reason to consider the type of convenience, parking my stuff argument.
Yep.
Something we can go with.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance as requested.
I'll second.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded to approve the variance requested for the property at 500 Victoria Street. Further discussion? All in favor, vote yes. And I vote aye.
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 Aye. No?
Aye.
Aye. All right, you're good.
Thank you.
Joseph Foss, property owner, 617 Summer Winds Drive.
Just a note that I also feel, as my fellow here does, about variances just for more stuff, but because that shed, plus the existing garage is not, if it were an addition to that garage, would not have taken it over the accessory use size limit relative to the primary structure. I
Right.
supported that.
I concur.
Fair
with
enough,
that.
fair enough, good.
I'm Joe Foss.
Yes. You have a request for a variance at your property on Summer Winds Drive. Can you make your case?
I just want to add 6 feet, make my driveway to the right 6 feet wider to park my third car out of the way. Got 2 teenage drivers, we're just constantly rearranging cars out of the garage. But code wants me to do like 405 square feet, it's gotta be 9 feet out, and then it's gotta be 18 feet back from the start of the garage. But I just wanna do a little, short little 27-foot path, it'll only be 162 square feet. Just enough to get the car out of the way. So it cost me, you know, around $1,000 for me to do it my way, but if I follow code, it costs over $3,000 for something that I wouldn't even use. The all cement along the side of my garage I would never even use, just take up all my green space.
Yeah. Okay, I understand.
I'm not sure I do.
We see a lot of these. Go ahead, Noel, you.
I said, I'm not sure I understand what the requirement would be.
What the law would be, the code is come here, and then all the way to here, and then back here with the cement. It'd be out 9 feet, I'm only going 6 feet, it'd be out 9 feet all the way out to here, all the way 18 feet back from where my garage is in the front. It has to go all the way 18 feet back to here. I just want to park my car right there and stop there with the cement instead of going all the way back. But that's what code says I have to do, which I don't understand why I would have to put that much cement in. But, and I like my grass and everything, my trees, I'd have to take out the flower bed on the side of the garage and all that stuff.
The issue here is arranging to have a parking space within the front yard setback.
Correct. So the current code allow him to expand only 2 feet beyond the garage door opening either way. Technically, that spot that he's proposing doesn't lead to a parking spot behind the setback. If it led behind the setback, it'd be acceptable. So that's the two issues, I guess. It is technically parking within the front setback.
Which I could do now on the other 2 spots.
On a driveway.
Yeah. I just be parking where a basketball hoop is.
Right, but the driveway leads to 2 dedicated parking spaces inside the garage. The theory here is that you could expand the driveway, but it would have to lead to a parking spot behind the setback, much like the garage.
I get the logic.
We're not here to encourage people to put more pavement down, it's just to discourage people from creating a parking lot in the front yard. Now, that could be debated what that width should be. I mean, it could be as little as 8 or 9 feet maybe, or 15 feet long, just so there's an ability to park behind the setback.
Well, I'd still be behind the setback, that's not the problem.
I'm sorry?
I'd still be behind the setback, that's not the problem. The setback's right here, right?
The setback is the front of the house.
Well, this is the city property, is that what you're talking about?
Nope, I'm talking about a building setback from the right-of-way line to the front of your dwelling.
And your argument is that this would facilitate car exchanges and dealing with teenage drivers and that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I can do it, but then I'm not gonna park where they want me to park anyways. I would never park all the way to the side of my garage, but yeah, I'm rearranging cars left and right, for $1,000, I can fix that problem. But I can't see spending $3,000 to fix that problem for a bunch of cement I don't need.
And for something that's not gonna last forever, because at some point, those teenagers won't be trying to park there.
Well, I think one will be living with me the rest of his life, actually. He has learning problems. But he can legally drive, which surprises me. He doesn't want to even get a license.
You know, that's what I've noticed with a lot of teenagers these days, is none of them seem to get a license.
Well, my daughter wanted hers instantly, but
yeah, we
not my
wanted
son.
ours instantly. I've noticed that. Anyway, further editorializing.
But I'm not blocking anything. I talked to all the neighbors, they're all good with it, plus they were also sent a letter, so they could be here if they had any problem with it. Which they don't.
Are the folks in the audience with respect to this item?
They're there for the next one, I bet.
We're on the next page.
All right, any further questions of the applicant here? Sir, if you could have a seat, we'll deliberate amongst ourselves.
It's kind of struggling with this one, because it's adequate for normal family, you know. But at the same time, it's like, is it that, I mean. is it
We
that
see
big
a lot
deal?
of these, we see a lot of these.
Yeah.
Um,
And
I think the ordinance is reasonable in that it's trying to discourage permanent parking spaces that aren't leading to.
My lot is wider than normal too. It's like 16 feet before you hit the neighbor's lot, so I have lots of room there if I put.
That kind of hurts your argument rather than helps it.
They were saying I could go out 12 and a half feet with the cement, but I would think that's uglier than leaving grass there.
I'm leaning no, it's kind of my thought on this.
Well, that was mine too.
But I could be convincing.
Yeah,
Someone
that's why I-
feels passionate about it.
I understand the ordinance, I understand that there's lots of people that do this without asking for a variance.
That's what every estimator said I could do.
I know.
And they all wanted me to do it, and then I'd be taking it out.
I
And
know.
lots of people do the car shuffle thing too, you know.
Yeah.
Well, and then there's nothing that's gonna stop him from parking the car outside the garage on the driveway. I mean, it's a horse apiece. It's either parked in front of the garage door, or it's parked in a slab that he's put alongside the driveway.
It has to be that way.
Well, and that was gonna be my thought is that, to your point, yes, I'm parking in the driveway that leads to a garage. But at the end of the day, that car is gonna be sitting in front of the garage, in theory anyway. So whether it's here or here, does it matter? Yes, I get why the ordinance is there, because the idea is you're supposed to park the cars beyond the setback. But like, to his point, the car is gonna be there no matter what. It's gonna be in the driveway. They're not gonna get fined for parking in the driveway, correct?
No, as long as it's not a legal driveway there, it's acceptable.
Right. So from a setback perspective, it's, the car's there, right?
No,
No?
the car is there, but he's on an area that isn't leading to a parking area off the setback. That's why what he's explained is what the ordinance would encourage, is to put a new parking area to the side of his garage. And put in more concrete.
Yes.
That's what the ordinance
No, I
requires.
get the ordinance, but I'm just saying, at the end of the day, we say no. He parks a car in the driveway.
Well, and then he does the shuffle, which is what he's doing now.
Correct. But the car sitting here versus the car sitting here, the car is going to be in front of the house. I can either put it here.
He's moving it to the side. He wants more space to put a car completely
Yeah.
to the right
To the right,
side.
yeah, so the two cars can come out. But I'm saying, if the argument is, I don't want a car parked up in front of the setback, right?
In the setback.
If I'm understanding correctly, the idea is that I can have cars that are parked, the car would park back here, correct? So it's in alignment with the house, correct? You don't want cars,
Right.
the idea of this being here is that the car can then drive in here and park.
Right, we
And
don't
this
want-
is clear.
We wouldn't want them 3 across, we just have, I guess, 3 behind the setback is the idea. If that makes
Right,
sense.
so this driveway leads to 2 parking spots, that's what
Correct.
it's saying. I want this driveway to lead to these 2 spots here, and the car's parked here.
And you can make it lead to.
But I
three
can park a
drives.
car here all day long, and no one cares, correct?
Correct.
So all he's saying is, look, help me and put a spot here, and I can park here, and I don't have to shuffle the cars. But the car, no matter what, is still gonna sit there aesthetically. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I see what you're saying. I don't buy your argument, but I see what you're saying.
Well, why? To me, like, what's the?
If you own 3 cars,
Yeah.
okay, 2 of them are gonna be in the garage,
Correct.
and one of them's gonna be back from the setback, okay?
It's gonna be in the driveway.
Yeah, it's gonna be either parked in front of the garage,
Yep.
you know, A, B, or C, which is where he
Yeah.
wants to have
Yeah.
little apron for it, so, I mean, the 3rd car is gonna be in the setback period.
Correct. That's why I'm saying. I'm more leaning towards saying, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I am too.
Yeah. Okay, good. I thought you were saying no. Yeah.
No.
I'm gonna vote against this, by the way.
I will too.
Me too.
So if there's a motion to be had,
Make your motion, I carry the day, Tommy.
Oh, I'm motioning to approve the variance as requested.
I'll second.
okay, we have a motion made and seconded to approve the variance that's being requested for the Summer Winds property. We understand what's being asked. Further discussion? I will vote no.
I vote no.
I vote yes.
Yes.
I'm gonna do the all those in favor say aye thing.
We will. If we'd like to, but we can also just explain what our vote is.
I'm a yes.
I voted no.
I voted yes.
No, now we do
It's
it.
a
No,
two.
right?
Yep, failed.
Sorry, you did not get your variance.
So I'm allowed to put gravel through there?
You'll have to speak to the planning department as to what is available to you and what isn't. I'm not gonna credit, interpret the ordinance,
That's true.
but you did not get your variance.
I would've kept going, man. You should've just voted there.
For the benefit, for the argument here, the gentleman killed his own argument. Complete. He said he doesn't want to spend 3,000, he wants to spend 1,000. And he's got plenty of room. We have granted these before when they haven't had a lot of room on the side. That wasn't the case here, and that was the basis for my.
But if you would have said he was an economic hardship, would have been okay?
No.
We're not supposed to.
No.
Well,
That's
that
not
was
a
the
use.
argument for the gentleman before, though, wasn't it?
I'm always gonna have a tough time supporting that. I lived for years in a house with a single car driveway and no garage and multiple cars. Even
my
in
whole-
the middle of winter, we did the multi-car shuffle.
We had a single,
It's just the way you gotta deal with it sometimes.
single driveway, and we had 5 cars.
Well, that's what we're here for, and that's why we're not trying to get a consensus, we're trying to get.
Make the teenagers stack and you drive your own. They can shuffle.
Yeah. All right, the long-suffering St. Mark's Church people.
Thanks,
All right.
Tom.
I am Tim Calise, the Director of Operations for St. Mark Church and School.
Kyle Good, I'm the principal at St. Mark.
Okay, for the record, just so everybody knows, I worked with Tim Calise for any number of years at Wisconsin Public Service. I believe that will not affect my vote for tonight. Nice to see you again, Tim.
Good to see you. We've been at that site on Kenwood Street for about 60 years, and our parking lot is in need of replacement. We tend to keep things very well maintained there, so with the shape of it in terms of cracks and unevenness, we are planning to replace the parking lot this summer. As you can see, we are landlocked there, so the grass to the south, our request is to expand more asphalt than what you're looking at on the picture. So to the south there, we would go, there's a fence there, we would go right up to the fenced area on the south, and then the fenced area on the east too, which we need the variance then for, I guess, a couple of reasons. One is that we would be encroaching on the setback on both sides, and we are currently above the, what do you call it, the 50% impervious surface. We are already above that. So this diagram, we have Mach 4 did our engineering site diagram. You can see there that we're proposing to expand the parking lot. The reason we're not adding any parking spots to do this, it's really more of a safety issue in terms of using the parking lot for a playground. Kyle's there every day, you can kind of explain that grassy area. It may look kind of grassy on this picture, but it's really more like dirt and mud most of the year during the school year.
So yeah, so currently, as you can see, we don't have a lot of green space to play on, and we don't play on that green that's between the fence, the sidewalk base, it's a little, about 4 feet to the, there's a wrought iron fence there.
Here?
Correct.
Yes, all the way along.
So we don't play on that because after the winter, most of that is, as Tim said, mud and dirt, because that's where the snow gets pushed. So we don't use that for anything as far as playable space. So by expanding the parking lot, we'll be able to allow the kids to have more space to play at recess, because right now we use about, well, you can see where the kickball diamond is there, and that's about the space we have, because cars park in there during the day also, faculty, visitors, those kinds of things, so we don't have a lot of space for the kids to play, so that's why we're asking for a variance.
So what's the additional space that's getting?
So if you go back to the other.
Well, you can see it
or
from here, that
too.
this is additional. So right where the parking stalls stop here, that's where the grass starts. So
Correct.
we're proposing to pave that. The fence is right here, we're proposing to pave that right up to that fence, making it a, we think it actually will look better than it looks today, based on being inside the fence, blacktop versus dirt, uneven dirt.
So is that gonna be a playground area then?
Well,
Or-
we're not putting in a playground, no, it'd
Okay.
be play space.
Yeah.
Oh,
When we
for
have
the
a
kids?
recess, that's where
Probably.
the kids
Yeah.
Okay.
play.
Probably,
Gotcha.
Kyle, probably a couple more, 4 square.
Yes, yeah, Foursquare, I mean, we plan to use it, I plan to use it for track and field practice. I mean, there'll be things there for the kids to do.
Okay,
Currently, we don't use it for anything.
okay.
Question for you, on the application, it says 50% impervious. They just listed a setback thing, but that's not on the application. Is it just the 50% impervious?
I talked to Joel at Mach 4, he had sent in a revised application, I believe. I don't know if you received that or not from Jesse.
Yeah, we did receive it.
Oh, is that the one you sent out separate? It's not in here?
It was updated after.
Got it.
After the initial.
My
application.
computer died. I remember seeing the updated one, but the one on the iPad doesn't, or the thing, doesn't have it. Okay, cool. So it is on the revised one. Okay, perfect. And was it 50% before? It was above 50% before they
I'm
decided to
guessing it
repay?
was.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Can we go back to the overhead, the bird's eye? So is that, and that's to the far right there, that's playground equipment?
That's a playground,
Yes.
yes.
And that's also on impervious surface?
Correct, that's wood chips.
It's wood, yeah.
Oh, that's wood
I don't
chips.
know if
That's-
it's.
is that
what the
impervious?
house counted,
That's
but it's-
permeable, so.
Yeah, it's a
It's
playground
wood
wood
chips.
chips.
Why wouldn't you look at like wood chips for the additional, instead of pavement?
Because we want the kids to be able to run around on that. It's more of a, like I said, Foursquare, hopscotch, that kind of an area, opposed to, I would probably plan to move the kickball space back a little bit towards the road, because right now the kids kick the balls on the roof of the school because it's so close. And so wood chips are not a good, they're great for playgrounds for falling off
Yeah.
the
I mean,
jungle
this is-
gym, but to run around on, they're not really good to run around on. The plan would be to let the kids run, play
It's-
games on it.
It's a preschool through K, or preschool through 8 school, so you've got younger kids on the playground in the wood chips, and the older kids typically play in the parking lot.
Is there an issue with paving up too close to the setback too here?
Yes.
So there's this, it's that more than the impervious.
That's one of the requests, yeah, so it's these front and corner side yard setbacks are being encroached upon, the impervious coverage, and then the placement of the refuse. That's supposed to be set back 20 feet, you can see it's in the lower right-hand corner there, on the corner, so that needs to be set back 20 feet from any right-of-way.
So we have a dumpster there that we really don't have a good place for a dumpster, so that's currently where it is. You could see it on the other picture too. You can see the 2 dumpsters sitting in the corner of the blacktop.
The upper left.
Conveniently located for it.
Yeah, we could find a spot for them.
Okay, I guess as I understand it, you're not asking for more parking. You're finding that you need some extra space for the kids to play on. And one of the issues that you have experienced is that the grass is not grass.
Correct. For most of
And
the
at least for your
school
purposes,
year.
it would be a lot better during the school year, during some of the inclement months, to have a hard surface for them to recreate on rather than,
Correct, and then once
Something
this,
else.
like I said, I mean, during April and May, once the snow melts, you can't see it on here, but right in this area right here is mud, because that's just, the snow gets pushed
the snowplow rips up most of the grass, so then it turns into mud, so the kids can't even play back, and so they can't even use it. If it was asphalt, then, you know, it would just melt and go in the drain, and they'd be able to use it right away. So, right about now, the grass is starting to grow back, but we're done with school in 2.5 days, so that doesn't do us any good.
What about jumping off the snow hills?
Well, after that big snowstorm, we could have gone up on the roof and climbed down. Yeah.
Is the fence that you talked about going along this wall, does it also curve over to where the trash cans are? as
Yes,
well?
yeah, the fence line runs the whole, it's hard to see on here.
Yeah.
The fence line runs here, I mean, along the playground, and then all the way, it takes the curve and comes all the way up to there and stops right there.
Oh, and then the driveway's open?
Yep.
Yeah, the driveway's open.
Got it.
So there's a fence that's essentially right next to the sidewalk?
Yeah.
But there's about I don't know, 3 feet of grass
All right, between
between
the
the
fence and
sidewalk and the fence.
And you're wanting to pave all the way up to
To the fence, correct.
Okay.
Further questions? I think I know where we are here. Okay, guys, if you could have a seat, we'll talk amongst ourselves. Thoughts?
I'm for this.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I mean, it doesn't look like there is a lot of space for the playground areas as it exists, and schools, K through 8, need play areas. I mean, that's important for the kids, so I think that's a hardship in my mind, and I'm okay with it. I would approve it.
They don't have a lot of choices here, other than doing what they're doing, or trying to do.
Yeah, I guess I'd favor wood chips as opposed to more pavement, just because, you know, I know that I get the muck, but, you know, there's a heck of a lot of asphalt there already, and it's just increasing it with, you know, I don't know that it's gaining all that much, from I don't know what we're getting out of it. I mean, I get what they're trying to do, but I don't.
I think what the point is, they could, if the pavement, they could get the snow off of it, and the mud, you know. But right now, am I getting that right?
Exactly.
So even with wood chips, it wouldn't be able to play there. That's the point I got, maybe.
No, it's.
No, that's exactly
Okay.
Okay, well, I think we know enough about it to vote. Am I right, Ron? So maybe a motion would be in order.
I make a motion to approve variance.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to approve the variance for the St. Mark Evangelical Church property. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I didn't hear, all opposed?
No.
Okay. 4-1,
4-1.
you got your variance.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
All of these are tough, you know, that's why we're here, I guess, but, you know, we can make it, any one of us could have made a good argument at for or against every single one of these. and
Right.
That's
Right?
why we get the big bucks.
It's the main-
Life is a negotiation.
It's good to do with the election.
Oh, yeah, you can't forget that.
Nope.
All right,
I guess the vice chair can take over and.
I do have a question that can be on record or off record about a future meeting. So I don't know where that goes within the meeting agendas, if it's off the record or whatever.
well, we'll deal with it, but let's deal with our elections first.
Yeah.
How does it work?
Well, we are obliged as part of our official protocols to elect at least a chairman and a vice chairman every year.
Secretary's pretty much set.
Yeah.
I make a motion to nominate and elect Don and Greg as chairman and vice chairman.
You might want to do it separate.
Okay.
Motion.
Don as chairman, if he so wants to run again.
I will.
I'll second.
Do I then say all those in favor? Or do you say it?
I'll say it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'm not gonna vote against myself.
I make a motion to elect Greg as the vice chairman, if he so wishes to nominate himself.
Sure.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Done.
All right.
Now,
Okay.
you had a,
October 15th, it's a future meeting.
That's way too far down the road.
It's a Monday night game against the 49ers.
I think you should close the meeting
Or is this on the record?
We got an informational item yet.
Oh, we do have an informational item? Date of the next board meeting. See, I'm working on October, not
Yeah.
next month.
Yeah.
all right.
I would ask to be excused from the next meeting on June 18th. I'll be unavailable.
All those in favor?
Nay. We don't need to vote on that. I don't wanna vote on somebody that being. No, we'll so note and, goodbye. So we have extra people.
So we adjourn first?
You would need a motion.
Yeah, let's have a
Move
motion.
to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, October 15th.